Hi, so hello everyone. Welcome to the panel discussion of Gandhara Independent Film Festival Special Screening Program, Stories of Filipino Lives. We have 5 short films from Filipino directors. And let me introduce to you our panelists. First, we'll start with Chua. She's a makeup artist, gaming enthusiast, and filmmaker who takes great interest in documenting real-life experiences. Ange creates music videos in support of local artists, and she wrote and directed Definitely, a film about a deaf student pursuing her dream of becoming a filmmaker. Ange, can you tell us about your casting process? How did you find MJ and convince her into acting for Definitely?
When I was writing this, I already knew it since in Benilde we have a school of our deaf students over there. So I wanted to feature them in my film, and then I just posted a casting that we're looking for a real life hard of hearing or deaf people to who wants to showcase their talent, because I feel like they're not really, have been seen in our Filipino movie industry. So I hope that with this film, I was able to hopefully inspire them to continue to pursue their dreams, because there's a lot of them who actually want to get involved in the film industry but weren't given a chance. So yeah, I hope this inspired them.
Thank you, Ange. Next, we have Shayne. She's a Manila-based filmmaker and digital artist. She has worked as cinematographer and assistant director on several productions. Her own work, Muli, is about a man at his breaking point a year after his wife's death. Shayne, what made you decide to create a male protagonist for your film that has a very emotional story?
Okay, so despite the fact that my protagonist is male, I feel like my protagonist and I are similar in a lot of ways. And I think that made writing him easier. We both share that seemingly, I guess, jaded outlook on life where we try to be realistic, um, all while quietly clinging on to the tiny bit of hope and optimism within us. But yeah, we are very similar in a lot of ways. So,
I mean, there's that personal connection to you. Okay.
yes.
And we also have with us the director of Ophelia, Celina Medina. She's a filmmaker, freelance photographer, and a film and media instructor. Ophelia is the story of a depressed college student seeking psychiatric help, but her parents had other plans in mind. Hello, Celina.
Hi guys, sorry, I'm still on the road. That's why I
Yeah,
can't really open my camera. But yeah, I'm happy to be here. Thank you so much.
it's okay, it's okay. Celina, I've been meaning to ask you this for a long time. Your film was at Cannes Short Film Corner 3 years ago. So
Yes,
can you
yes.
tell us briefly about that experience? Did you self-distribute it, and what are the challenges and benefits that you experienced during that time?
Personally, it was a very fruitful experience. That it was very shocking for me because I only graduated college recently back then, and then it was my first real world experience, right? So I felt like I wasn't ready enough yet, but I was able to garner like a lot of connections with people in the industry, and I was able to really like test myself if this industry is for me. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that, Celina. And we also have with us Jose Gabriel Jacinto. He studied digital filmmaking at the La Salle College of St. Benilde. His love for simple stories with amazing execution led him to create Pagkatapos, a film about a young docile student pondering his future when he makes a friendship in an unlikely time in his life. Hello, Job. Thank you for your
Hi
time.
po. Hello po. Thank
Uh,
you.
for me personally, I find your film visually appealing given it's shot inside a school. So most of your backgrounds were walls, empty corridors, and yet you were able to present it in these beautiful framings. So
Kudos po
you,
sa cinematographer ko.
yeah, can you tell us about how you planned for it and how's your collaboration with your cinematographer?
Ayun po. So, no, kasi there's a lot of steps or like ideas na I had before the final output of my film. So ultimately, I decided to shoot it in like one place only, so it will be easier for the crew and I guess so that the story itself would be told in a simple way, but executed in a manner na it's beautifully told. Thus, for my collaboration with my cinematographer, I I picked Shayne because we're very close friends and we've had a lot of films together. We've worked in a lot of circles already, and I always trust her with my vision. So in the end, we were able to communicate what we both wanted to see out of the film. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
Um,
you. Sorry.
Actually, when I watched all of your films, I think the most common factor that made your films interesting is also how your characters were written. I think you have really powerful protagonists. So, can you share how was your process in creating your protagonists in your films? Let's start with Ange.
Um, so I like hanging out in coffee shops, especially pre-pandemic or even in school. So it has always been a habit of mine to carry a notebook and a pen with me. And I would often find like different individuals or unique personalities, or even just like overhearing the conversation, from the other table. And like you kind of get ideas and mix and match some of the stories from just eavesdropping. But yeah, so I uh like having a notebook and a pen is almost like a security blanket for me, and that's where I just put in all of my ideas, even up till until now. Like I have it with me wherever I go. And so there we go, and I picked them, our deaf community, because I feel like uh they need to be heard, and this was an avenue for them, I hope.
Thank you. How about you, Shane?
So I guess, like I mentioned earlier, me and my protagonists are not too far apart. Drawing from real life definitely helps me. Envisioning that your protagonist is a real person with quirks and flaws. They're complicated, just like you and anybody else. That's definitely something that I incorporate in my process in creating characters.
Hmm. Celina?
Hi, I'm here. Sorry, can you please repeat the question?
Yeah. Um, we're talking about each process in creating your protagonist for your films. How was your process in doing yours?
Well, my film was very loosely based on myself
Mm-hmm.
because my film is actually a thesis film, which has a method of autoethnography, which is almost autobiographical. So the way I envisioned my character, it was immediately a female protagonist. So it was a conscious decision to really sort of likened the character to myself at a level. So I wanted to distance myself with the character at first, but I realized that in order to tell this story as honestly as I can, it has to be something that's close to my heart. So yeah.
In job?
For me, I remember my script script writing teacher telling me that the best way to write a script or write a story is telling something that you know about or something from the heart. So I decided to take a little bit from my own experience in high school, about pressures of like graduating and moving on to a next chapter in your life. So that's how I kind of created my main protagonist. Yeah.
So everyone created their characters actually, which is actually based from your own experiences, no? Um, very different, yung very different is Ange's process because it's more of an observation perspective, which is also interesting, and I think it's really unique. But given talaga na when you're starting a film, I think when you're starting with filmmaking, you really tend to write characters that are very close to your heart, as you all mentioned. Yeah.
Yes.
So, with regards to when you created your protagonist, did you think that it influenced your decisions when it comes to visual treatments or your technical choices when creating your films? Ange?
Um, Actually, when we were doing this film, I was more like a very loose type of director. Like I want to give my team a more collaborative, or like I want them to have their own visuals and make a collaboration with them rather than just me telling them do this, do that. I like sharing because I feel like you learn something new from each other. So yeah, I gave them the freedom to interpret the scene, and that's how we did it. But for now that I think I have a more focused direction in life, that I have a bit more of an input now compared to before. Yeah, so that's how I used to do it back then.
Shayne, how about yours?
For technical choices and treatments, I'm a very visual person to begin with, and since my protagonist starts out as a jaded office worker, so the technical choices and treatment that I used for my film was quite dreary and silent, much like his personal life. So, but since it also talks about hope in the midst of grieving, I added themes of life, such as flowers, and a lot of pops of color in the film. So, despite it being quiet and stagnant, you could tell that there was, something else there that doesn't make it too boring.
Celina?
Hi, sorry again. It chops because I'm on the road. But sorry, can you please repeat
Yeah.
the question?
Um, did you think your choice of main character influence also your decision when it comes to visual treatments and technical choices in your film?
Yeah, definitely, because my protagonist is very um low key. Like
Mhm.
my protagonist doesn't have a lot of speaking lines, and uh she doesn't really do much, or like visually speaking, it's very subtle.
Mhm.
And I tried to tell the story of her perspective of the world through my visuals and my technical decisions in the film, like such as my color grading, my framing. Everything is intentional. My production designer and my cinematographer, really, we all work together to really try to build my world as visual as possible, because the story itself is very subdued and very subtle. So we really wanted to have that intersectional uh, collaboration with all aspects of the film.
Thank you, Celina. Job, how about in pagkatapos?
As for the treatment and technical aspects of the film, when I was writing the main protagonist, since he's docile, we wanted to make use of the big spaces in the school. So I had this idea of using a lot of shots of big spaces, or him being in those big spaces. And I don't know the proper term for this, or like if this is drastic, pero we almost wanted it to look like a prison for him because it's big and very imposing. So that's what helped, create the technical aspects or visual aspects of the film. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Um, summing up all your answers, I think also the strength of your film is because it was very well developed, that everything is very well thought up even before shooting, no? And I'm really personally excited to see more film works from you. So right now, what's your next film project, or are you experiencing any challenges in developing a new work right now, Ange?
Yes. There's a lot actually. Aside from budget is already given as a challenge, but aside from the budget, I think our main challenge is safety of everyone, because every project that we're getting currently, we're all at risk. So I think that's one of the challenges that everyone can sort of relate to, and it's really scary because I think with the pandemic, it focused now more on the health of people,
Mhm.
because you can't replace lives. So I think that's really important.
Shayne?
For me personally, because of the pandemic as well, I think most of us can relate with creative burnout. And I think that's something I'm currently challenged with. I'm not quite sure how to go around dealing with that, but that's a very big challenge that I have right now.
Mhm. Celina, how about you? Do you have any new film projects in mind, or what challenges are you experiencing in developing a new film project?
Personally, I felt like I had a lot of difficulty in following up with my last film because I felt like there was so much expectation. So I had a lot of like anxiety, like following up my film, and I feel like uh, I started to venture into writing more.
Mhm.
Like I joined workshops under filmmakers such as Miss Denise O'Hara, and I challenged myself to attempt and write a feature film, but so far I'm still struggling with that. But uh, I feel like I'm more ready to produce another short film, hopefully in the near future. Just it's just that I'm waiting for COVID to subside because like what was mentioned earlier, we cannot really replace lives, and we need to more than now than ever to really care for the welfare of and well-being of everyone on the set, not just yourself but everyone in the set. So I feel like I'm more ready to uh to get back out there and shoot again. It's just that the situation with COVID has been a hindrance to not just me but to everyone. I feel like that's the case.
Mhm. Thank you, Job.
Um, as mentioned earlier, I guess the pandemic has also a big challenge for wanting to create new projects, and like what Ange said, budget is also very important. So that's one of the challenges. But for me personally, it's getting myself to write or push through with an idea, because I tend to have lots of ideas, but none of them I don't really follow through with because I have a hard time. So that's something that I want to overcome in the future, so that I can express, my art more and be a filmmaker more. I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we really all agree that the main limitations in creating a film right now is due to the pandemic, and complying with the protocols, the high cost of production in order to comply with the health and safety protocols, which we actually need to comply to because it's top priority, COVID or not. Um, but then again, thank you very much for sharing all your learnings and insights. I think we can close this and conclude this panel discussion by sharing anything that you've learned, perhaps during making your film or during this pandemic while you're developing new ideas and new projects. Anything that you can impart to young filmmakers and or to beginning filmmakers that also want to develop a new project right now? Yes. And
I think connections. Because if you can afford to go to film school, you should, but the learning just doesn't stop there. You actually have, like, you went to school to invest in experiences, so it's not just passing the grades and so on, because it's once you graduate, it's the connection that is important out there in the real world. So you really have to go an extra mile whenever you get like projects, and be the best that you can, because people are going to remember you for your attitude, communications. That is going to bring you a safety net and a longevity in the film industry, because a lot of people talk here and there, so it goes around with whatever you did on set. Yeah, and also, like, being an introvert is hard, and it's hard to communicate to people. So I think it's just something that you have to go out of your comfort zone and explore, and it's a great place to be yourself and really put out all of your creative juices and just be whoever you want to be, and explore, go out there and tell stories. Start with, like, the phrases that I learned in school are like, write what you know, write from the heart, show, don't tell. And what's important is a story is very well done if it's a simple story well told. So yeah. Thank you.
thank you. Shayne?
For me, learnings. I think this goes for me as well. This is just something I constantly remind myself of. But it's to always keep an open mind. I've noticed that a lot of younger filmmakers, and I feel like arrogance comes with being young. And I hear them say stuff like, I don't need to listen to that because I already know that. But sometimes it really does help to sit down and take the time to really listen and take in what somebody who's experienced the industry is saying. That's definitely a mindset that really helped me once I left college and started working.
Um, I guess I would like to second Ange on saying that connections do matter, and as much as possible na we think we think that we're just gonna get into the film industry right away. It's important to work with as many filmmakers as you can while you're in film school, because that's a mistake and I had to learn the hard way because I didn't get to do that a lot when I was younger in my freshman years of college or film school. I only got to have the motivation to join other filmmakers or other projects late na in my years. And I guess most importantly is it doesn't matter if the story or the film is high concept. All that matters is you're able to tell your story efficiently and in a simple but really really wonderful way, because not all the time that high concepts get you everywhere. Sometimes it's the small things. Yeah.
Thank you, Job. Celina, um,
Hi.
hi. So, anything that you've learned from creating Ophelia or maybe writing during this pandemic that you want to share to beginning filmmakers or your fellow young filmmakers?
Aside from what's already been established about collaboration with other filmmakers, I just want to uh, kind of piggyback on everyone's statements about working with connections. I feel like aside from seeking other filmmakers to connect with, especially if you're not really from film school, you can try to learn and cultivate and grow together if you have friends who are also into filmmaking. I feel like sure, it pays a lot to find connections with established filmmakers and work with them, but I also find the value of growing together with a set of group of people that you can work with and learn together with. And I feel like it's really important that yes, aside from keeping an open mind and learning, you should also invest on theory. Like I mean, I feel like it's very underrated to learn about the film language and uh the art of storytelling, because a lot of young filmmakers nowadays, I've noticed, has more access to the technology and tutorials online, and everybody wants to skip towards holding the camera, and that's amazing, that's really great. But I also feel like we need to invest also on the art itself, like learning about the theories behind these things, because I feel like it's what makes you improve as a storyteller as well as just experimenting, you know. And then yeah, and then I guess lastly is just to be brave, because it takes a lot of guts to become a filmmaker, especially here in the Philippines. You know, if you have a story that you want to tell, if even if no one really believes in you, if you have that drive to tell that story, it if you have that itch that you cannot cure, just go for it. So yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Maraming salamat, Ange, Shayne, Celina,
Thank
Job.
you.
I
Thank you
really
so
hope to see
much.
more films from you. And saka, when that happens, I look forward that perhaps I can be able to support it in any way. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Of course.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Ange.
Likewise,
It's
likewise,
nice meeting
Mina.
Likewise.
Oh,
everyone.
Miss
Thank
Mina.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you
And to
po.
everyone, you can watch the short films Definitely by Ange Chua, Muli by Hanz Shayne, Ophelia by Celina Medina, Pagkatapos by Job Jacinto, and Hilum by Don Eblahan at the Gandhara Independent Film Festival from December 3 to 5. You may follow Gandhara Independent Film Festival on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube for updates. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.